everybody to the November Community Outreach Meeting. We'd like to thank everyone for being here. My name is Jennifer Hassell, the Executive Director here at the Chamber of Commerce. As you know, we have these meetings once a month to just share information about the community. This month we're going to be sharing information on how to prepare for the winter in regards to fire safety, storm preparation, and potentially have some conversation about evacuation routes and what the city plans on doing in the near future to address some of those concerns. With that, I am going to turn it over to Chief Creteri.
Thanks, Jen. All right, so like Jen said, with the cold weather on us and the holidays coming up, Jen asked that we go over some fire safety tips, so I am going to go over the exciting topics of fire safety. Statistically, November to about March is the busiest time for us fire-wise. Last year, we had a rise in fires in Suffolk County. It went up by 14% from the year before. So, believe it or not, the leading cause of fires in our county and in Chelsea is due to cooking. So I'm going to go over some topics like cooking safety, smoke detectors, and some other things that would pertain to the weather getting colder like it is. So first of all, smoke detectors. You hear us talk about smoke detectors all the time. In my opinion, they're the most important safety device you can have in your home. Having sprinklers is great, but smoke detectors are going to alert you quicker. Once the detector activates, you should react right away. It could be nothing. Most of the time it is nothing. But if you notice smoke in your home, statistics say you have 3 minutes to get out. If you do have a fire, they typically double in size every 30 seconds. You really don't have the time that you may think to get out if you had a true emergency. We're finding that today that, compared to years ago, with the new type of furnishings, plastics being used in the homes, and the new types of construction, fires, once they start, they spread really quick, and you just don't have the time you think. So if you do have a detector go off in your home and you do notice smoke, get out of the home, call 911 after you get out, and you should have a gathering place for your family members so you can account for everybody, and let us know once we get there. So cooking fires, that seems to be the biggest problem we have. In the last 2 weeks we had 2 kitchen fires, both grease fires, and in both instances the occupants were burned and had to be transported to the hospital. So in a typical, in a grease fire, I think we've all been told, put a lid on it. That is the best thing you can do if you do have a fire, stovetop fire involving grease. You should never put water on it. It's only going to spread it. Cover it. Never move a pan that's burning. Leave it, and just get out of the house. Call 911. The other thing is to try to keep combustibles away. If you have a gas stove, you shouldn't store anything combustible near it. Years ago, a friend of mine told me of a fire they had up in Georgetown where his neighbor left a pizza box on a gas stove overnight. The dog tried to get to the pizza box and ended up hitting the knob on the stove and started a fire, and unfortunately the house burned to the ground. So it's pretty important to try to keep that area clear if you can. Carbon monoxide detectors. That's the next most important thing. It's the leading cause of poisoning in the United States. Carbon monoxide, it's toxic. It's a toxic gas, odorless. You're not gonna be able to sense it or notice it. That's why the detectors are so important. You should have a detector on every level of your home, and you should have a detector in the area of your bedroom. Typically, we say within 10 feet of a bedroom. And if you do have an issue with like a defective oven, dryer, any type of gas appliance or any fossil fuel appliance that's defective or not maintained properly, you do have, it starts creating carbon monoxide. The only way you're going to know is when that detector goes off. All right. 2 weeks ago, I'll tell you another story. We had an incident on John Street where we had a mother and daughter, both serious carbon monoxide poisoning, that were transported into Boston. The detectors were going off for over a week, and the property owner kept saying, "Oh, the batteries are low, just don't worry about it." And they had a defective heating unit in the home. When we got there, we were getting severely high readings of carbon monoxide. So it's important, if your carbon monoxide detector goes off, call 911. We'll gladly come out and check it out. Every one of our trucks are equipped with multi-gas meters. We can meter for carbon monoxide, and we can tell you right away if you have a problem. If anyone has any questions, just holler them.
Baking soda is your friend, right?
Sure, yep, you can use baking soda on a grease fire, yep.
Okay. Only because we kind of experienced something like that. Thankfully, it was outdoors, it was the grill, and it was on, outside. But yeah, baking soda came to the rescue that day, I'm not gonna lie.
Another thing is dryers. So defective dryer, a gas dryer, not only you could have a carbon monoxide problem, they're also a source of a possible fire. So, they recommend that you clean the lint trap out after every use. I'm sure not everybody does it, but that's what they recommend. But cleaning the vent leading outside a couple times a year is huge. The lint builds up and it's flammable, and it does start fires. So, the next one, electrical fires. So they recommend you inspect your electrical system every 10 years. I don't know of anyone who actually does that. But my recommendation would be, if you see something that doesn't look right, have someone check it. Extension cords are a problem. You should never, gang extension cords together. They're really only supposed to be used temporarily. But that's what we find. People misuse them and they overheat, and it could lead to a fire. You shouldn't put an extension cord under a carpet or a rug. Again, that just causes them to overheat and could lead to a fire. We've seen extension cords used for, misused, where in one case I can remember, it was an air conditioner. It was a large air conditioner. I think it was like a 240 volt. The plug wouldn't match up to the plug in the wall. So they cut the extension cord off, and they wired a receptacle on it that would accept the air conditioning unit, and it started a fire. And so some of these things are, it might seem like they're stupid things, but it's what happens. The other thing, so if you do notice anything, I'll tell you when you should call the fire department for an electrical issue. If you notice any arcing of an appliance or an outlet, or sparks coming from an outlet or an appliance, if you hear any type of buzzing or sizzling, call 911. If you smell an electrical odor, obviously something's burning, or call us. We do have cameras on each truck that can measure for heat. If there's an outlet on the wall that's overheating, if we put the camera on it, it could tell us right away if there's something behind that wall burning. So we're more than happy to come and check it out. Things that need to be addressed, but you don't need to call 911, would be, if you have a circuit breaker that trips frequently, that should be checked by an electrician. If your lights start to dim for some reason or flicker, again, that's probably an electrician's problem, not something you'd have to call 911 for. Or if you notice something that's overheating, plugs are overheating, sometimes, you know, microwaves draw a lot of power, and a lot of people don't realize they should be on a circuit by themselves. If they're on a circuit with a lot of other appliances, it might cause that outlet to overheat. So getting onto this colder weather, and if you do have an issue where you lose power, people would, you know, they'll try to run a generator to have power, even temporarily. Generators should only be run outside. You know, they should never be run indoors. Obviously, again, carbon monoxide, and you should never refuel them inside. Or even close to the house. You gotta let the units cool down before you refuel them. We've had that happen where, you know, someone's putting gas into a generator, the gas hits the motor and ignites. Space heaters. Space heaters, I know a lot of people use them. I know we have a few at Central Station. They're fine, they're safe if used properly. You should keep combustibles away from them 3 feet in all directions. You shouldn't leave them running at night. You know, when you go to sleep, you should turn them off. If you leave the house, you should turn them off. But, you know, when used properly, they're fine. And another thing too is you should, if you're going to use a space heater, you should plug it directly into the wall. Try not to use an extension cord. And then just for the holidays coming up, just a couple things on tree safety. You know, again, obviously we should keep, if you have a real tree, you should keep it away from, you know, a heat source. Try to keep it away from your exits. You should turn the lights off at night, or when you leave the house, you shouldn't leave them on. And then after the holidays were over, you should get rid of the tree right away. All right, they dry out and they pose a hazard. Christmas lights, again, you should check them. If you see they're frayed or the insulation starting to break up, get rid of them. You should try to use LED Christmas lights. They're the safer option. And again, back to the extension cord. You know, I know we all have to use them, but you shouldn't use more than 3 strands of light on an extension cord. And then just the last thing I have, and I brought some information packets with me that the Fire Marshal's office puts out a whole packet. It's like 32 pages long for newcomers into the state, into the city. It's printed in 7 different languages, and it just contains safety information for any new resident that has come into the state. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, when people move into the city or the state, there's a lot going on. You know, dealing with fire safety, it's probably not, you know, one of their top priorities, but this booklet, this pamphlet provides them with information, how to call, you know, when to call 911 and things like that. So it's a pretty good resource. I left it, there's books here, and we'll have that on our website too if anyone wants to download it. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, well, thank you. These are very nice. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
And they're easy to read.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So those will be on our website too. So, and if anyone needs more, we can get more.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you.
I would just say, because we go to calls, people with gas grills on rear decks cause a lot of issues for them too. And I think some of our officers don't even know the rule on that. Not that we would have, I guess we would.
The rule is you can't have an open flame grill above ground level. By state law, you can't store propane above ground level. So.
Minus no
I know
joke.
someone in this room probably.
Another thing that I actually wanted to point out, and it's something that we experienced recently, are the plugins. I don't know if anybody uses air freshener plugins in their home, but you need to really be conscientious for when that liquid runs out in the plug-in. What we noticed, what we noticed is that it's still drawing power because it's plugged in, but it's got nothing to do because there's no liquid left for it to dispense through that plug-in. And so that is a fire hazard. You wouldn't think that it is because it's just a plug-in that sends out, air freshener into your home. But if it doesn't have liquid, it's still burning, and you'll be able to tell because the actual device will start to turn into like a yellowish color on the device, and that basically says the device is empty. You need to get it out of that outlet or get it replaced with a refill cartridge. So it's just the small things, right? You just never know. So we appreciate the fire department for being here, for continuing to educate us. And now I'll ask Steve Staffier to come up and talk to us a little bit about kind of what to do in preparation for a storm, kind of how to get a winter kit put together, for lack of a better way to name it. So Steve, I'll take the floor.
Thanks. So, kind of taking off from what the deputy had said about some safety. Winter being a little bit different than the summertime, could be treacherous if we do have a severe storm, something happens, and we advise or require folks to either shelter in place or if we are to conduct some type of evacuation. One of the things that we're going to be putting on the city website, the emergency management side of it, is having your own personal emergency kit. So I know a lot of people have been asking for guidance, and to simplify it, and I've got some guidelines here from FEMA, which we'll post, is simply purchasing a knapsack, something comfortable. Most kids have them today, most adults have some type of knapsack they'll use even to bring to work. But similar to that, inside the knapsack can range from ensuring you got some water in there, your medication, some of the extra, not batteries, but charging kits for your cell phone. And again, we'll provide this list as a basic kit that they supply that you should go by, that's more for day-to-day. And then they have an extended list that you'll see that'll be posted for more long-term, if we're talking about a few days into a week. But what is emphasized is to have this personal kit. This kit is something that you could simply have by your bedside. The alarms go off in the house, as the deputy stated, maybe the house is on fire, or smoke, or CO, you grab that and go. And if we do have to put you up at a hotel, a shelter environment, at least you have some of the basic stuff that you need. And that's stuff that folks don't normally think of. Now, of course, life safety is number one importance. If you can't get to that bag, still evacuate the house. But even for storms, we know we're going to have some blizzards, severe weather coming up. It may be a situation where we now have a power outage. And last time I spoke here, last month, that was one of the topics that we spoke about that becomes a big deal, is a lack of power. And again, whether we shelter in place or evacuate, you're going to want that kit by your side, especially for those first few days till you get acclimated and we can get the rest of the stuff that you folks need. Again, the basic kit will be listed on the site. I'm just going to read it off. It ranges from water, maybe some food, granola bar type of foods, even a battery-powered hand crank NOAA weather radio. You'll see them sold very, very inexpensive. Those could be helpful. Get a lot of information from either the Weather Channel if it's a significant storm, some of the regular radio stations, or if we're going to put something out over the emergency alert system, those radios are designed to go off and give you that information. Flashlight, first aid kit, again, extra batteries and power supplies, a whistle, it says here to signal for help, dust mask, and even some basic things is paper, pens, duct tape, and so on. That's the basic kit. When you look at their expanded kit, it goes into a little bit of some stuff from CDC from 2020 for COVID, as far as face coverings, extended medications, all the way into pet food, cash, another important thing to have on you. You can have a family kit much larger that has a sleeping bag and some other type of goods as far as they even recommend books, games, puzzles for kids, keep them busy. And again, you can just imagine if you did have to evacuate, those are the kind of things you're going to look for those first couple of days. But we'll make sure that we post these lists on the website and have them organized for you. Second piece of it, the two key words, sheltering and evacuation. So we are in emergency management finishing up a citywide evacuation plan. I'm going to speak on it, on its update in December for City Council, and which obviously the public will see. We're planning to have it released for the beginning of the calendar year. And from what I can tell, it'll be the first that the city's had of a true evacuation plan that's not only for our public safety partners to activate, but does give some direction for the citizens. We're lucky enough, Chelsea's only 1.8 square miles. There are only so many arteries in and out, whether we talk about roadways or earlier we were teasing about the bridges and being surrounded by water. But the plan is going to be extremely simple to follow once those orders are given that we have to evacuate. And again, we'll also ensure with signage. So I'm working with Public Works as well as the Traffic Division and Police because we'll be able to put out, as you see in the city of Boston, they've made an investment in some evacuation route signs as well. If the plan had to be triggered, it'll be triggered through programs like the reverse 911 system, triggered by the emergency alert system on the federal side. There'll be many ways, even down to a police car in the neighborhood with a bullhorn or PA, to ensure that folks know that we're going to evacuate. The plan is built such where it could be as simple as we're going to evacuate a particular building all the way to the whole entire city. So, any questions on those topics?
Thank you, Steve. We just again want to extend our doors to everybody in the community so that if you need information, if you need to get in contact with any of our presenters, just let us know and we'll make sure to facilitate that connection. I also wanted to remind everyone, and Ricky, I'll put this out for you as well, the special needs registry. I just want to remind everyone how important this is. You can find this information on the city's website, and I think it's really important. There's information here, I believe, in up to 7 languages, but this is crucial because this allows the city to keep track of any special needs you might have in your household. If there's an individual there with any type of special medication that they might need, or perhaps they have limited mobility, perhaps, maybe are blind or maybe can't hear, or they use a service animal. Any type of special need that you might have, you have the opportunity to register with the City of Chelsea so that if emergency services needs to make a house call, they're aware of what your needs are and they're better prepared to help serve you. So I just wanted to add that little nugget towards the end of our presentation. I especially just want to thank everybody at the police department, the fire department, emergency services for being here. Crucial part of the community, super supportive of the chamber, and again, of the community. This is what this is about. I know that the police department will soon have an outreach facility a little further down in the downtown area. So David, I welcome you to come back when you guys are ready to have that up and running so we can have another community outreach to kind of present that facility down the street. And again, we welcome anybody in the community that might have a topic that they want to share to come to the chamber, let us know, and let's set up a date. So once again, we'd like to thank everybody for coming today. We appreciate all of you. Excuse me, we have a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry for coming late, so I thought I was on time. And I just had a question in regard to fire extinguishers. I'm not sure if that was covered. And what type is the best type to have in your home? We had a dryer fire some years ago, and we had a fire extinguisher that had more dust on it than energy. And when we tried to use it, and it rolled and it fell, and it just didn't work. So then I was told that you shake it or tip it upside down to ignite it. But what are your thoughts on home fire
So
extinguishers?
I think the multi-purpose extinguishers that they sell, Home Depot has them, that'll put out any of the 4 types of fires. And the problem is that they don't last. You know, you do have to watch, they have a gauge on them, and I don't know how long they do last, but they do need to be changed out periodically, because whatever propels it, it just doesn't last. But that multi-purpose extinguisher would be the best one.
Okay, yeah, I think we got ours in 1999. And had to use it like 2020. It just didn't work.
You know, but as they've been saying recently, though, that the public does not know how to use them. That's been on television shows recently. They don't know how to use those things.
So we do have a program where we go to we go down to Global, the oil storage facility on Broadway and Gulf, and we do a fire extinguisher demonstration and teach them how to use them there every year, so we could definitely put that together.
I think that might be one of our future community outreach.
Yeah. Summer would be better because we need somewhere where we could light.
Oh, so we're going on a road trip.
They usually will light a small amount of fuel on fire, and then they show you how to put it out, so.
I think that would be very.
It'd be a good thing for National Night Out too, if we could do it someplace.
Yeah, that would be great, right? Yeah.
That's great. It's exciting. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or any comments they want to add? Of course.
Question. Do you guys give like presentations in churches or community events on this things that you mentioned, like fires and evacuations, things that I think that are very important for people to know, because here we got all this information, but not everybody maybe watches the channel or comes here, so yeah.
Well, I'll say from the fire department, so our fire prevention office is very involved in the schools. They go in and teach fire safety in all the schools, and they do programs in some of the elderly buildings up at Apples Hill, 260 Clark, 14 Bloomingdale. I'm not sure if they do churches. That's a good idea. I mean, I'm sure we could expand it. You know, we could talk about that. But they are out there, you know, promoting the fire safety stuff. But it's I'm not sure if they do any churches or events like that.
Thank you.
As far as emergency management, I'll honor any requests. A particular group wants me to speak on a topic, no problem.
Of course.
Just a comment, I appreciated you introducing me to the special needs registry. As somebody who's profoundly deaf, I don't hear high-pitched tones, so a carbon monoxide sound I won't hear at all, with or without the hearing aids on. And we have a dog that we're going to train to, alert me, but I need all the help I can get, so this is super appreciated, and I will give them a call to make sure I have all the access I need.
Happy we could help. And that just really in a nutshell, kind of is the reason why we have these community outreach meetings. And I'm excited that there are other organizations that want to try to tap into this, because I think the more organizations that are offering these opportunities to the citizens in the community is just going to make us stronger as a community. It's going to make us more informed. And be able to share information with those individuals that might not be able to make it either to the church or to another organization's gathering or access at the school. So I'm super excited and super proud to continue this. And again, everybody in this room, I'd like to thank the CVC for being here, CAPIC, Dan Cortez from our HUB program, thank you for being here as well. And as I mentioned, the collaboration that we have with the police department, the fire department, and emergency services is something that we're super proud of. And so we just want to kind of continue to spread the message and make sure that everyone's informed. So once again, thank you, and wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving.